across the...
No, it doesn't. It says no.
It's been our pleasure to serve as co-chairs of this annual meeting and installation brunch. We want to welcome you all today as Beth Shalom begins celebrating its 125th anniversary with Jeanette at Wishna as our new and capable president. This is also our opportunity to say thank you to Sarah Small for her wonderful leadership during the past 2 years. We'd like to take just a second to thank our committee, Stacy Belzer, Sarah Barron, Bev Jacobson, Joni Court, and Paul Lerner. Thank you also to Teresa Corfage, our staff liaison, who did so much of the work. We have some out-of-town guests here today that warrant special welcome. We have Victor Wishna, Jeanette's son, who has come from New York City. And we have Jeanette's college roommate and longtime friend.
Not college.
Right after college roommate. Almost as long. And longtime friend, Marcia Kessler and her husband Andy, who have come from Atlanta. And we also want to welcome Sarah's son, Michael Small, and her granddaughters, Rachel and Eliza, who have come from Chicago.
They'll be here.
At this time, we'd like to extend a special welcome to the following leaders of our Jewish community. Howard Jacobson, President of the Jewish Federation of Greater Kansas City. Howard. Stan Zeldin, President of the Jewish Community Foundation of Kansas City. Todd Stetner, Executive Director of the Jewish Federation. And Sherry Steinman's Assistant Executive Director of the Jewish Federation. We also want to thank and recognize the many members of Congregation Beth Shalom here today who hold professional and volunteer leadership positions throughout the community. Now, I'd like to introduce Boy Scout Troop number 61 for the presentations of colors, and Cantor Sarah Glover, who will lead us in Hatikva.
Good morning. Can I get everyone's attention, please? I just know it says here on the program that I'm the Devar Torah and the Motzi, and I think the Motzi is really the most important reason I'm up here, because that means that we're going to eat in about 5 minutes. And I know everyone might be getting hungry, but that's okay. It's okay to feel that way, and just sort of keep that in mind, because I just want to spend a minute or 5 and talk briefly about an episode from yesterday's Torah portion, where we read about what was possibly the first officer's installation. And this story of leadership reform starts with a controversy over food. Numbers chapter 11. The Israelites are in the wilderness and they're grumbling about their stomachs. Not that they're starving, they just have a few issues with the menu. If only we had meat to eat, they moan. Remember the fish that we used to eat in Egypt? The cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, the garlic? Now there's nothing at all. Nothing but this manna. And the manna we read is like coriander seed, which, according to the Food Network's website, is mildly fragrant with aromatic flavor of lemon, sage, and caraway. And so, Mom, I don't know if you've ever seen that ingredient on Iron Chef, or no, so I just ask as you would know, because apparently, because there's not that much you can do with it. The Israelites would grind it, boil it, they'd make it into cakes, which they would eat day after day after day. Now, for Moses, all of this complaining about the food turns out to be the last of many straws. And in that fallible, all-too-human way, he loses it and he vents all of his frustrations to God. Where am I supposed to get meat to give all the people? When they whine before me, he whines. I cannot carry all this people by myself. It's too much for me. He's so frustrated, in fact, that he asks God to destroy him. But rather than strike him down, God responds basically by telling Moses to call for backup. gather for me 70 of Israel's elders and officers of the people. And as the commentators say, elders refers to people who are seasoned in wisdom and not just advanced in years. And God says, bring them to the tent of meeting and let them take their place there with you. So essentially this is the first board meeting. And the Torah doesn't really go into detail. It doesn't stipulate who's going to chair what, who's going to chair the ritual committee or the education committee, or indeed the original Tefillah 2000 committee. It's 57, 62 now, so you figure 3,000 years. Never mind. Anyway, although specific roles are not given, the concept of team leadership is clearly established here. And Rabbi Louis Warschauer, formerly of Beth Shalom, argues in his weekly Torah commentary for JTS that this power sharing with the officers of the people was really an early promotion of democracy, a safeguard against dictatorship, which was a pretty progressive move in a culture dominated by worship and fear of a single supreme being. However, I think there's also another message in this, a message about the natural order and development of leadership, or what leadership even means. And we see that in approving Moses' slate of officers, God tells him, they shall share the burden of the people with you, and you shall not bear it alone. And that's actually sort of funny, considering that Moses isn't exactly alone. I mean, he already enjoys the full support of the divine lobby and all of the political clout that comes with that, the plagues of locusts, the pillars of fire, the whole Red Sea thing. And even later in the same parsha, God reaffirms that while prophets may appear to Aaron and Miriam and others in their dreams and in visions, Moses is still the only leader with whom God will take a personal meeting. Yet, apparently, as we see here, this isn't enough to establish and maintain his leadership, at least without him getting overly frustrated about it. So, the other day I asked my mother about leadership, and her thoughts and feelings as she prepared to become president of Beth Shalom. She told me that a leader's job, especially at a vast institution like a synagogue, which covers everything from birth to burial, is to have a vision, a distinct vision, but one that takes into account all the diverse needs of a diverse community. And that can be pretty frustrating. That, she told me, and now I'm quoting, though I promised I told her I wouldn't, that really is too much for one person. This one person can have all the answers, but they need to bring others along. The most important challenge is to get others to work with you towards these goals. Leaders are formed by their communities, this is me again, by the opportunities, by the support, by the challenges that come from striving together with other people. And I only have to look as far as the effect the Beth Shalom community has had on my own family, the numerous committee and council meetings that my mother and father have served on, from the religious school to the men's club. And in my own experience as KCSY president growing up, I was able to work with others to lead them to do good things, even if it was just something as simple as organizing a car wash for tzedakah, in ways that I rarely have had the chance to since. And even now in New York, the synagogue that I frequent is led by Rabbi Larry Siebert, who is a product of Kansas City and of Beth Shalom. I know several of you here might know him. And the first time that I talked with him about Kansas City, he gave all the credit for what he's achieved and where he is now to the teachers and the friends that he found here. So meanwhile, back in the Parsha, we see that the Israelites get their meat. Once Moses gathers the 70 elders and imbues them with his spirit, God calls forth a great wind that sweeps in thousands of quail. They fall on the camp in such quantity, it says, that even he who gathered the least had 10 homers of meat. And I think that's something like 2 cubits, but I don't know. But still, at its heart, this episode of the Torah, and the entire book of Numbers for that matter, I think is about the nature of leadership and the role that the community plays. God, of course, is a very important character in all of this, but the chosen English name for the book of Numbers itself, Numbers, is a reference to all of the different censuses that are described in its pages, the numbers of the people, the tribes, and where they all fit relative to one another. So really, it's the first accounting of the Jewish people as society, not just as subjects. And it reinforces the ideal that I know motivates my mother and my family and all of the Jewish leaders who are about to be installed here or everywhere, that while we need to eat to live, when it comes to sustaining Jewish life and a Jewish future, it's a strong community that is the surest and ultimately the most dependable source of nourishment. And so with that was about 5 minutes. I don't want to anger the people or keep you hungry, and the manna might be getting cold. So, if at this time, I would like to invite everyone to wash their hands before we do hamotzi. There are 3 stations. I guess there are 2 up here and 2 up here and 1 in the back. And then we'll do hamotzi in a couple minutes. Thank you. Hamotzi le'Elohim ha'aretz.
Discuss and rediscuss the many important issues of the day. Your high standards have helped me set my own bar high. You are a dedicated, talented, experienced, and outstanding leader. And I know that this congregation will give you the support that they have given me during my administration, and that we will experience great achievement in the next 2 years under your guidance. And at this time, I have 2 presentations to make to you. See, you didn't know about this. We didn't discuss this, did we? No, we didn't discuss it. Well, of course, presidents need gavels, and I've had a gavel to use in board meetings and so on. Comes in handy sometimes. They're pretty good. And it has a block of wood, which really resounds. And on it it says, engraved, President, Congregation Beth Shalom, and we hope it will endure for a number of years. And my name is engraved as president for the past 2 years, and your name is now on here for the coming years. And it is my pleasure and honor to present this to you. Years ago, when I assumed the presidency, Mendel presented me with a very meaningful gift, a gold laminated with a gavel on it, President's Gavel. And I've worn this pin with a great deal of pride, for I am so proud to serve as president of this great congregation. And during this term of your presidency, I would like you to wear it and enjoy it and be reminded always, I'll let you open it, of the great honor and responsibility that this office carries with it. Yeah, that's the magic box. Two presidents and we can't open the box.
And you know, and we talked about that. Oh, you wouldn't wear it that much anymore. You put it away. But you know,
and meeting this great challenge. I too have another presentation to make. It's a great day for presentations. This is the President's Cup. And I'm thinking back over the almost 13 years here in the congregation and the various installations and all the various funny remarks that have been made about the size of the cup and what you can do with it. But you know, I think probably the most appropriate, and every past president will agree with this. I don't know if it's been said or before or not, but certainly by the time you complete your term of office, you're going to appreciate the size of this cup. But maybe even before you begin, it would be a good idea to have the cup full so that you can get the strength from within it, you know, with whatever you choose to fill it. We won't go there right now. It's a very beautiful cup. It's marked Beth Shalom President's Cup, and honor to the names of the past presidents of this congregation, a very illustrious group of individuals indeed, and your name has been added to it right here, inscribed Jeanette Wishna, the year 5762. It comes with a lid too. We put the lid in order to keep the contents from spilling out, and then you got to take the lid off to drink it. Okay, that's all. Hand it to her again.
I only got the kiss. I didn't get the hand off.
Well, that was the best part now.
This is wonderful. You get presents and applause. Great day. Three weeks ago today was May 12th. That was Mother's Day. It was also my birthday. Sheldon and I celebrated that evening with Princess Garden's Kosher Chinese Night. By the way, it's tonight also, if any of you are interested. I could hardly believe the message in my fortune cookie, so I saved it. And I had it here to show you, and I really did save it. I have witnesses. But the fortune cookie said, "Be prepared to accept a wondrous opportunity in the days ahead." Well, this is that day. And the opportunity that I now accept is truly wondrous, as well as humbling. It is wondrous to be standing here as president of Congregation Beth Shalom, as we begin to celebrate our 125th anniversary. It is wondrous to be here in the midst of family and friends. Our executive director, Rich Froese, thinks that I'm related to everyone in town. But Rich, there are only about 3 tables that are full of aunts and cousins today, so it's not everybody. Of course, among those tables, I'm so pleased that my husband Sheldon is here and that Victor could come in from New York. If the writing career doesn't work out for him, he's going to go into stand-up comedy. I am so pleased and honored that so many of my family have been here for me today, throughout my life and my volunteer career. My cousins Sharon Mylans and Barbara Palin, who gave me this beautiful corsage. They so capably co-chaired the beautiful morning. And cousin Paul Lerner handled publicity with the great skill that he always does everything. My loving appreciation to the 3 of them. If a wonderful family is a gift, then good friends are a treasure. Not easily obtained, but extremely valuable. The room is filled with friends from long ago to most recent. Marcia and Andy Kessler are here from Atlanta. As Sharon and Barbara told you, Marcia and I were roommates before Sheldon and Andy came into our lives. And we haven't seen each other for about 13 years, so it was wonderful to have them come today. My friend from Sunday school and youth group, Jody Court, handled today's seating arrangements for almost 240 people, even though, as many of you know, she's recovering from hip replacement surgery, but that didn't stop her. More recent friends, Bev Jacobson, Sarah Barron, and Stacy Belzer, became balloon ladies today and created the celebratory atmosphere that we were hoping for. Bev is director of the Women's Division of Federation, and Sarah and Stacy are vice presidents, which is where I first got to know them. I am so pleased that Sarah and Stacy are also new members of Beth Shalom's board of directors, and they are members of our ECE leadership team. I thank all of them for their help today, and I thank all our other friends for being here. Beth Shalom in its various forms has grown and prospered over the last 125 years for the very same reason that it will continue to be one of the preeminent congregations in the conservative movement. We have learned that the strength of a congregation does not depend only on the president or the board or the rabbi or the staff or even just the members. Our strength and future depend on each segment working in tandem to build a synagogue community. Judaism is all about community. We need a community to pray. We need a community to mourn and to celebrate. We need a community to support each other throughout our lives. As fortunate as we are to have outstanding clergy, outstanding professional and administrative staff, a history of outstanding lay leadership, and a wonderfully supportive sisterhood, and a loyal, active membership, the secret is to mesh it all together through shared values and goals. Human beings share by communicating. Sometimes it's intuitive, but most often it's the written and spoken word. This congregation, this sounds like the rabbi and I collaborated, but we really didn't on this. But this congregation is so big and so many different things are always happening that it's hard to keep track. However, one of my goals is to bring our congregation closer together so that everyone involved in some part of Beth Shalom knows what's going on in other parts. That knowledge can lead to interest, and interest can lead to involvement. However, even the closest of families and friends don't always agree, but the ones that remain close are those that talk to each other, even when there are disagreements. The Beth Shalom family has about 1,100 households to several thousand individuals. It's inevitable that decisions will be made and things will happen that you may not like. But don't get mad and don't grumble to your friends. Get involved and help make the decisions. In the coming year, we will continue to build on the strong foundation established by Sarah and her predecessors. Our Johnson County campus will start to take shape, and soon our exceptional education programs for the youngest to the oldest member, under the direction of Patty Kroll, Judy Jacks Berman, Lynn Harris-Treinish, and Steph Missler, they will have the kind of facility they deserve. There will be multiple opportunities to celebrate Beth Shalom's 125-year history as we continue to grow over the next 125 years and beyond. So yes, we are going to try to inspire you and draw you closer, but don't wait to be asked. Let us know that you would like to participate. You've seen the officers and board members today. We're nice people. Give us a call, send an email, write a note, and we'll see that you get involved. You won't be sorry. My friend Steve Israelite says that no one ever leaves a program or a meeting thinking that it was too short. So with that in mind, I will conclude with a few personal comments. Even though I am from Kansas City, I did not grow up at Beth Shalom. And Sheldon, see, they're getting involved. Sheldon, who is my biggest supporter and most honest critic, is from Brooklyn. As if you've ever talked to him, you might know that. We were married here, however, in 1972, one of the first weddings in the then new sanctuary, before there were permanent seats, and when there was a big bump in the center aisle carpet for the bridal party to step over. For the last 16 years, starting about a year before Victor's bar mitzvah, Beth Shalom has been the major influence in our lives. During these past 2 years particularly, as I've spent a lot of time in meetings with Rabbi Cohn on a variety of issues, I've come to more fully appreciate the enormity of his responsibilities and the grace and wisdom with which he fulfills them. A great perk of being president will be to continue to learn from and work with him. The last 2 years have also given me a special gift in getting to know Sarah Small much better. We've had an extraordinarily close working relationship, which Sarah mentioned, and I will cherish that. Today, and I can't say how meaningful this pin is. I mean, you know, I don't know if you heard me before say that we were talking about this, that Sarah would probably put it away because it wouldn't be appropriate to wear it. I said, oh, that's a shame, you know. And now I get to wear it for 2 years. I just am so touched. But today, in addition to installing our incoming board officers, we want to recognize her illustrious record of accomplishment. I want Sarah to know how much I admire her leadership, admire her intelligence, celebrate her vision, and thank her for giving us herself. She has earned a little rest, but she knows that I'm counting on her continuing the tradition of being an active past president. And she didn't mention it when she